We are out here at Rous's on Chapatoulas. Beautiful store out here. They got all your great groceries, and we're happy to welcome them as a sponsor to the show. If you need groceries, make sure you come out here and check them out. We're going to break down all this stuff with the Saints going on right now. There is a very long list of injuries, some really big names on that injury report. We're going to get into that, what it means, where they go from here, and if they stand a chance against Atlanta with kind of some of the stuff that they're going to potentially have to overcome. We're coming to you from the mobile Ochsner Health Podcast Studio. They got the Andrews Institute up there. Make sure you check them out for any of your sports medical needs. They actually did the surgery on Erik McCoy today. So that's, Dr. James Andrews is one of the best in the business, and they got him here in our city. So if you have healthcare needs, make sure you go and check them out. And if you're driving to there or driving to here to Rouse's, hit up my guy Matt Bowers. He will get you in the best car at the best price. And as always, this is another episode of NewOrleans.Football presented by PJ. So we're going to hit this quick little commercial break, and then we'll be right back on the other side to start breaking down these injuries.
Ochsner Hospital for Orthopedics and Sports Medicine on Clearview Parkway is celebrating 5 years of exceptional achievements. The hospital's integrated team has successfully performed over 20,000 surgeries using the latest in cutting-edge technology. With nationally recognized services and impactful partnerships, they continue to lead the advancement of orthopedic and sports medicine care in our region.
Rouse's Markets is voted best grocery store in New Orleans, best grocery store in Baton Rouge, Mississippi, Gulf Coast, Thibodaux, Houma, Hammond, Lake Charles, Mobile, year after year. Thank you for choosing us best grocery store on the Gulf Coast. Number one. Thank you.
Thank you.
The number one grocery store
In Mississippi, Alabama,
Louisiana. 1 million customers a week can't be wrong. Welcome to Rouse's.
The NewOrleans.Football show is proudly presented by PJ's Coffee. PJ's Coffee has some of the best drinks that you can find. They have locations all over the city. They have pastries and everything else you need to get your day started. So go check them out. NewOrleans.Football is proudly sponsored by Urban South Brewery, the makers of Paradise Park Lager. I love supporting local breweries, and when looking for a refreshing, easy drinking beer, I always recommend Paradise Park. In fact, I think it might be the best game day beer out there. If you want something a little lighter, try Paradise Light. It's everything I love about Paradise Park with just 96 calories and 2.6 carbs. And if you're looking for a family-friendly place to watch the game, I'd recommend Urban South's Tap Room in the Lower Garden District. They've got 15 TVs, 30 unique beers on tap, and mouth-watering urban smash burgers. The whole family will want to make Urban South their new living room, because at Urban South, they take laid back seriously. Looking for the best insurance coverage at the lowest price? Look no further than Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency. They are a local independent insurance agency right here in New Orleans, specializing in home, flood, and auto insurance. Their agents are born and raised in the area and understand our community's unique needs and the homeowners insurance crisis our residents are currently in. At Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, their dedicated team will shop every available carrier in the market, ensuring you get the most comprehensive coverage at the lowest possible price. They know your time is valuable, which is why they work diligently to provide you with the quotes as soon as possible. Why settle for less when you can have the best? Trust Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, to protect what matters most to you. I do. I've been a client of theirs since 2021. When we couldn't find someone to insure our house because of the big oak tree growing over top, Chabert worked until they found someone that would work with us and give us the protection that we need to feel safe in our new home. Call them today at 504-326-6526 or visit them online at Protected by Chabert. That's 504-326-6526. Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, your local insurance experts. Hardhide Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey is an 86 proof blend of aged wheat bourbon, American light whiskey, and fresh Ponchatoula strawberries. Blended in New Orleans, it is not for the thin-skinned. Look for it in your favorite stores, bars, and restaurants. NewOrleans.Football is proud to be sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Make sure you check out their location on Veterans Boulevard. Attention Saints fans, don't let pests and termites invade your home field. Trust the team at Red Pest Solutions to tackle those unwelcome visitors. Call the Red Man today for unbeatable pest and termite control. Score peace with no pest. Visit redpest.com, REDDPEST.com. All right, let's get into the show.
Welcome back to Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. We're here at the Chapatoulas location, breaking down this big injury report and trying to figure out what it means. I'm Nick Underhill. He's Mike Triplett. He's Brandon Thomas. Brandon, what you got for us?
Man, we got our first segment presented by Aaron Rous. Does Erik McCoy's groin injury going out on IR for the next couple weeks change your win total for the season?
After the Dallas game, you asked us this question, and I said I went from my 8-9 prediction to a 10-7 prediction, and that was head over heart, because at that moment I was like, how's this team not going to go 13-4?
Yeah.
Well, this is why I picked 10-7, because stuff happens. I didn't know it was all going to happen 1 week later. A loss that you just can't lose because the team is trying to hand it to you time and time again. Injuries to so many major players, but that's why you predict 10-7 even when you think the Saints are a good team. So I'm going to keep it at 10-7. I'm not going to back down because of that, but it makes this toughest stretch of the season that they have coming up over the next 3 weeks, at Atlanta, at KC on a Monday night, home against Tampa on a short week, even harder. I think they'd be happy to go 1-2 in this stretch.
My problem is it isn't just Erik McCoy. You know, Cesar Ruiz on that list too, and boy, trying to win a game or two without Cesar and Erik is really tough. I don't expect them to play this weekend. I don't. I think that injury is something that, you know, you show up on a injury report with a knee injury and it was something else, and then it started out as ankle, and then you figure out, you know, there's a knee issue. That just doesn't sound good. I don't feel good about that situation. Trying to overcome both those guys is a lot. Like, I don't know how you do it. It feels like a mission impossible. It really does, but I don't know what they do. I really don't. I mean, I'm kind of baffled by it. You're at this point now trying to hide 60% of your line. You know, you're already trying to hide right tackle. Now you're trying to hide right guard. You're potentially trying to at least minimize the impact of the center. Like, I know they put a lot on Erik, and, you know, I think that is one thing. You go into a game, you're planning on having Erik McCoy. You set your protections based on that. You're running some different schemes based on that. And then he comes out and you're trying to change your whole entire protection plan. Well, Jalen Carter's just dominating you. I mean, that's really hard to do. So I do think, given a week to prepare for it, they probably look a lot better than they did against Philadelphia. But without both those guys, I mean, I feel like you're going to lose a game you should have won, because, you know, that's just a lot to overcome.
No question. But my 10-7 is a season total. I mean, I think they might go 1-3 over the next 4 games, which would bring them to 3-4. And as we've always said, the second half of the schedule is better than the first. So they better go 1-3 at least over the next 4 weeks. That's how dire a lot of these injuries are. As you said, not just Cesar. We don't know for sure if Alvin Kamara will play or be 100%. We don't know if Demario Davis is going to play. So, absolutely. It feels like they got to find a way to steal Atlanta or Tampa, or at Kansas City, which seems like the toughest of the 3. But it feels like they got to steal one of the next 3.
You think that's the toughest of the 3?
Maybe they'll have guys back for that one. I mean, you never know. I mean, Kansas City just beats everyone like 20-19. Like Chris
Jones without your interior line. Ruiz probably plays in that game, but Chris Jones, man, without Erik McCoy, boy, that's scary.
It was wild today at practice. We walked out there and we knew McCoy wasn't going to be out there, but when we saw Cesar not out there and we saw who made up the offensive line, we were like, man. Like, Trevor has shot up as one of the
veteran.
as one of the older people on the line, and it just was like, this is a
turn quick,
This is a very serious deal. Now let's go deep into the injury report with our next segment presented by New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company. It was lengthy. It was very lengthy for the Saints. Let's go through the whole thing. Derek Carr, left groin. He was full participation in practice. Taysom Hill, chest, full participation in practice. DeMarco Jackson, calf, limited participation. Colin Saunders, calf, limited participation. Landon Young, foot, limited participation. Alontae Taylor, illness, did not practice. Demario Davis, hamstring, did not practice. Alvin Kamara, hip/rib, did not practice. Cesar Ruiz, knee, did not practice.
Yeah, a lot of guys there. Alontae just being illness, that doesn't worry me. I think Alvin will play this week. Everybody else, I don't know. You know, as far as the DMPs, I don't know.
Erik McCoy wasn't even on that list.
He's on IR. Yeah, so tough. It's a really tough week. And then, you know, DeMario dealing with this on a week where you're playing Bijan, that's not what you want. I do feel like, though, they are best equipped to kind of handle an injury at linebacker. Yeah. You got Pete Werner, you got Willie Gay, you got good depth there kind of going behind those guys. So that's not terrible. They're kind of, just because they're equipped to kind of handle it. If they had Willie Gay at every position, I wouldn't feel bad about losing a starter at a lot of spots. Same thing with Olave. He's not going to miss the game, but if he did, you got Kool-Aid behind him. I think your focus goes to running back. That's terrifying if Alvin doesn't play. Shut it down. Like, just don't even play the game if he's not available. Honestly, like, I don't think you can run your offense without him. I don't. I mean, you have to have the effective running game to kind of set up everything else. So if he doesn't play, just move on. I don't know what you do about the offensive line.
Yeah.
You don't want Derek Carr throwing the ball 50 times, but do you go more pass heavy, quick game to try to get around it?
That's
if you
the
can't
answer,
block
I
the
think,
run?
right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Look, I mean, Cesar Ruiz feels unlikely. Alvin feels like he's going to give it a go, but still wouldn't be 100%. So you're going to have to see a lot of Jamal Williams. Luckily, Taysom Hill is improving. Dennis Allen said he thinks he's going to play. It's at least concentrated. It's like this one thing you're not going to be able to do is block. They couldn't do it last week, like to an atrocious level, like you've never seen a team be less effective blocking than you've seen last week, and seemingly, I don't want to say unprepared for Philadelphia's game plan, but they didn't have the instant counterpunch for it, and they still almost found a way to scratch and claw and win that game 16-15 or whatever they should have won it by. So that's what you have to do against Atlanta. You got to hope your defense is better than their offense. I think that's entirely possible, and you got to hope Derek Carr can get the ball often enough to Jamal Williams and Foster Moreau and Juwan Johnson and Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed and Cedric Wilson to score 17 points, and maybe that's enough to win. You got to try to win the, as you said, rock fight that they didn't win against Philadelphia. That's the hope.
Jalen Carter might have played the best defensive game I've ever seen in my life last
Atlanta
week.
doesn't have that.
Yeah. Animata's good, but it's different. But just to your point, the inability to block, like, legitimately maybe the best defensive game I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen somebody dominate a game the way he did. It was borderline unbelievable and just completely wrecked it. The thing that worries me a little bit about the interior is if you can't block there playing against a team like this, if you're trying to rush passes out, they have Jesse Bates and they have Justin Simmons.
Yep.
Like the ability to get interception in this game I think is going to be pretty high. I don't like the idea of being sped up with that guy back there. When you watch Bates, like, he does things that are like, it's just his feel for the game is second to none. I don't know if there's another safety that feels the game quite the way he does, and he's a game changer. So you have to be really aware of him. You can't put anything up for grabs. He's going to be trying to jump routes, and if you're under pressure and you make a bad decision, like, he just kind of pops up out of nowhere. So, yeah.
He did that exactly, and what I think was the lowest point of the entire Saints season last year. As 92-yard pick six or whatever it was. He got him bad last year.
Yeah, I was talking to Chris Olave earlier today, and I was like, man, the last time you were in Atlanta, you were going off and you went out with a concussion. He was like, yeah, I just got to overcome all of that and continue to go hard like I, been doing the last couple of games. And I asked him, I said, they got Justin Simmons, a player that, the Saints wanted. And he was like, teams get better. You just got to get better along with it. So I think confidence-wise on the offense, they're still there, but we'll have to see how they overcome these injuries. Our next segment is presented by Rous. It's going on the more positive side. Mike, you mentioned it. Taysom Hill, he was a full participant in practice today, coming back from his chest injury. How much does his return help the Saints in this game against Atlanta?
I mean, I think he's got to be a big part of the running game. As we said, Alvin's going to try to give it a go. If there was no Alvin and Kendry Miller still a week away from coming back from IR, and it was just Jamal Williams and basically Taysom and Jordan Mims, then I think he'd play a big role. So good topic once we get a better feel for if Alvin's going to be able to go or not. But I think no matter what, he's got to be a part of the run game. Coming back from a bruised lung, you can't really overuse him. But the good thing is I think he looked like he was getting closer at the end of last week. He was out there doing everything we saw today. I think he's going to be a big part of this game plan.
I will say, like, and I'm not an expert on bruised lungs at all, but it feels like either that's good or it's not, and if it's not good, you don't play him. You know what I mean? I don't think you send him out there if it's like 80% healthy, and it's like, well, like that's something. If he's out there, I think he has to be good to go.
Yeah.
I will say this.
Once the bruise turns kind of yellow, I think is the official.
Look, if they put him out there, he needs to be good. Like, don't risk that, first of all. Second of all, though, like, I don't think you can be in a situation where Alvin's getting 29 touches in the game. That is not smart. He's 29 years old. I'm surprised that he's, like, embracing that he's going to try to play through these injuries. He's banged up. He has a broken rib. You're going to go out there. You're going to try to play through that.
Yeah.
He's in a contract year, essentially. I'm absolutely fascinated by his thinking. Like, this is a guy that walked out of a mandatory mini camp and shows up for camp on time, just kind of gives it all to the team. He's hurt. He's going to try to keep playing. I mean, I'm just the mentality is it's selfless. It really is. Like a lot of guys in his situation would say, "No, I'm not doing that. I'm not going out there. You don't want to pay me. I'm not risking myself." Like that's why people fight for a contract. Right. He just wants to show up for his teammates. Like I that's just something that I feel like should be pointed out. It's a team first attitude, and we'll see if he's able to get himself out there. But I know he has every intent of trying to play this week.
Yeah, I've got Allen Iverson in the background. I mean, like the walking out of minicamp, and I remember he told you it was hot.
Yeah,
I was like, they haven't figured my contract. I'm just gonna go. But he's a gamer, and this stuff matters. And he said, I was never gonna let my teammates down. He's like, now we're talking about the game. That's different than practice.
Yeah,
that'll do it for this opening segment. We appreciate y'all for stopping in with us. We're here at the Rouse's Market on Chapatulas. When we come back from break, we'll continue to talk about the Falcon side of dealing with injuries and more on NewOrleans.Football.
Total Maintenance is one of the largest locally owned home and commercial service providers in South Louisiana. They were founded in 1980 and serve the greater New Orleans and Baton Rouge markets. And Total Maintenance wants to show some love to our NOF listeners. They have a membership program that gets you 2 tune-up visits for AC and heating, as well as club membership discounts of 15% on all repairs, half off of all diagnostic charges, and 3-year warranties on most repairs for membership clients. This is usually priced at the low price of $24.95 a month per system, but if you tell Total Maintenance that you found them through NOF, they'll lower the price to $20.95 per month per system for as long as you keep the membership active. It will never increase. Total Maintenance has a tune-up special running this summer for $79, down from the normal price of $179. This is a one-time offer for one system only. They also offer a free diagnostic on second opinions on units deemed to be unrepairable, and they offer free estimates for replacements as well as commercial maintenance programs. Services include AC and heating service and replacement, electrical service, plumbing service, as well as generator service and installation. They are Total Maintenance. Find them at tm-ac.com or give them a call at 504-841-3300, or if you're in the Baton Rouge area, 225-480-1000. Martin Wine and Spirits is home to a selection of hand-picked barrel select bourbon, whiskeys, and much, much more. They are family owned and operated since 1946 and specialize in wine, spirits, gourmet food, gift baskets, catering, and tasting events. They have many locations, so they're never too far away. You can check them out in Metairie, New Orleans, Mandeville, and Baton Rouge, or if it's more convenient, you can always shop online. Whether you're a wine novice or a seasoned collector, you'll enjoy the Martin Wine and Spirit experience.
Score big with kickoff combos at New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company. Comes with fried shrimp and your choice of soft-shell crab traditional or our famous thin-fried catfish, all served with garlic herb fries, starting at only $10.99. Only at New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company.
Saints score! Score big with Saints Score. Win up to $100,000. Enter the second chance drawings for cool Saints prize packages. Play Saints Score scratch-offs from the lottery.
All right, guys, it's the best time of year. Football's back. We're talking NFL Sundays, college football Saturdays, and the glorious grind of fantasy football lineups. This is where your inner GM comes alive. Setting the perfect fantasy roster, screaming at your TV, and making last-minute waiver moves that either make you a hero or the guy everyone ridicules in the group chat. But listen, while you're over here making sure your fantasy team is dialed in, don't let your personal grooming become the guy that gets left on the bench. Let's be honest, nobody wants to fumble their grooming routine. That's where Manscaped's Performance Package 5.0 Ultra comes in, acting as your all-in-one grooming playbook. From keeping things sharp down below with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra to taking care of those rogue nose and ear hairs with the Weed Whacker 2.0. This is the lineup that'll keep you looking and feeling like a champ on and off the field. Join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get ready for kickoff by heading over to manscaped.com. Use the code New Orleans, that's one word, for 20% off and free shipping. Trust me, you'll be drafting the real MVP of grooming this season.
There's nothing quite like the feeling of stepping into your dream home. At Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union, we can help make that dream a reality with a team dedicated to you. When you partner with Jefferson Financial, you do so for the life of the loan. Having a single point of contact when questions arise is invaluable. Our experts are here to guide you every step of the way. There's no better time to invest in your future. Apply online at jeffersonfinancial.org. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
Whether you are a local New Orleanian or a fan in town for the game, get your pre- and post-game fired up at Rous. Local chaos and local love for the black and gold. Wake up and live with daily drink specials, mimosas, screwdrivers, Bloody Marys, and hot or frozen Irish coffees, all just $3 or $4 between 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Rous, half a block from Bourbon Street in the French Quarter, 811 Conti Street.
Welcome to the Queen Casino, the crown jewel of entertainment destinations. From the thrill of gaming, where every spin and deal brings you closer to fortune, to the excitement of sports betting, where you can feel the rush of victory. Our spaces and catering menu are perfect for any event. From business meetings to grand celebrations, immerse yourself in our vibrant atmosphere with live music that keeps the party going all night long. Join us at the Queen Casino. Your royal adventure awaits.
Welcome back to the mobile Oshner Andrews Sports Institute podcast studio here at Rouse's Market on Chapatulas. It is now time for our next segment presented by Urban South. It isn't just the Saints that are dealing with injuries. The Falcons, they've had some O-line injuries. They put center Andrew Dalman on IR, and then tackle Caleb McGray was out with a knee injury. So do Atlanta's injuries balance out the Saints'?
No.
Yeah.
No. They got one guy on their injury report today. Like, yeah, sure, center for a center. I do think the Saints feel good about Shane Lemieux. They signed him to the 53-man roster today. Probably a pretty good chance that he ends up playing center this week. At least they're going to probably evaluate that possibility. So we'll see how that goes. But no, I don't think it balances out at all. We're talking about Demario Davis, who might be their best defensive player. Yeah. Talking about Alvin, who might be their best offensive player. No, it's definitely not an eye for an eye.
I'm taking the biggest swerve ever here. It's not an eye for an eye, but it makes me feel way better about this game because as we said in the previous segment, all the Saints injuries. The report is hilarious. Go look at it. It's like here's the Saints' top 10 players and here's one Atlanta player. But the only thing we're really worried about is the Saints' offensive line. We feel like they can make up for the loss of Demario Davis. We feel like Alvin's going to try to give it a go. And it's just like the offensive line, though. What can you do with no good offensive linemen? So seeing Atlanta going through the exact same thing, they both put their starting centers on IR. Caleb McGarry is one of their best offensive tackles. Their offensive line was already a huge question mark. Now you're taking two of their starters out, just like you're doing with the Saints. Do you know who is projected to start in place of Caleb McGarry if he can't go? Do you know?
No.
Storm Norton.
Storm's over there, yeah.
The guy who spent all last summer with the Saints last year and couldn't make their 53-man roster or their practice squad. Like, everyone's going through it. It's league-wide. So everybody, you're always so myopic, and you're like, man, the Saints just lost McCoy and Rous. Should they even show up and play? Well, Atlanta lost their two best offensive linemen, too. So it just reminds you that they're dealing with it, too. Like, the Saints is way worse, but the Saints' offensive line is the one thing we're super concerned about. And the Atlanta offensive line should be something you're super concerned about if you're Atlanta, too.
So what you're saying there's a dark cloud over them.
Yeah. Yeah. Storm's coming.
Yeah.
Storm's coming through.
Yeah, I mean, it already hit. I think it already hit. Yeah. That's crazy. I had no idea. I didn't even know he was there. I had no idea he was on that team.
McGarry is projected to be like a questionable game time decision. He hasn't. But, I mean, I guess that's how Rous is being viewed, too. So it's basically exactly tied across the offensive line anyway.
Yeah.
Let's get into our next segment presented by Shawberry Insurance, the Earhart agent. Huh?
You start that read over. It took me a minute. The Storm Norton joke. I mean, it was a good joke, and I didn't help you.
Oh, you just got it. You just got it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I got it halfway through. I'm apologizing for how bad I reacted. I did not sell your great joke. You know?
Let's get into our next segment presented by Shawberry Insurance, the Earhart agency. Will the offense be able to return to form against Atlanta? They're down a lot of pieces, but will they be able to make it happen?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. What is return to form? Because I don't believe
not week 1 and week 2 form.
I don't believe that's I don't think that's form.
Yeah.
I think that's it's an impossible standard to hold them to.
Yeah.
And that was the thing, like 91 points over 2 games versus whatever. Like it was never going to be that. one of the things I was surprised about, though, is kind of the reaction to this game. Like, there's times where you play bad games. Like, there is just times you play it's not even bad. Like, you just find a matchup that's tough. And the unfortunate thing here is that they didn't find a way to win. And, Mike made this point. I think it's very possible Nick Sirianni would have got fired after that game if the Saints had won. And he talked after the game about how he was overruling Kellen Moore's calls and everything. Like, he was making gut decisions on the sideline that went against what the organization ultimately wanted. And those decisions would have cost him the game had Jordan Howden not run down the field and crashed into some guys and let Goddard get free. But I think you feel good about this game if they win. I like the style of play. Like, if you can find a way to win a game like that, that's usually a really good thing for your team. It's just very, very unfortunate. I think the Saints gave the game away. I really think they gave the game away. And if you win that, it's different. And the worst thing is they gave it away, and you got all these casualties for a loss. Like, that's the thing that stinks about it. If you win that game and you have all these injuries, and it's like, well, okay, it might take 2 games to get right. Like, it is what it is. You got one. You're 3-0. It's fine. You got time to do it. Maybe you find a way to beat Atlanta or something. But it feels completely different. But return to form, like, are they a team that can go out and score 27, 30 points? Yeah, I think they can if they can find a way to block on the inside. And that's the story of the game here. And I am incredibly interested to see what the offensive line can do. I want to see what these coaches can do. They showed us once that they can hide Trevor Penning. I truly felt going into week 1 he was an unplayable player. I mean, we just saw it too much. And then they went 2 weeks in a row and hit him. Can they hide the interior somehow? It feels like a lot. It feels like a very hard thing to do, but maybe they can. So I'm going to wait and see what they can do. But I don't think that. But a very long way to getting to the point that I don't think week 1 and 2 were these like huge flukes of like, oh no, they aren't actually a good offense. They just kind of caught teams at the right time. They got lucky. Oh no, teams figured out what they are. Ooh, like I don't think that's what's going on.
That
here.
was exactly Jamal's answer in the locker room today. He said, "Oh, the 6-1 front." Ooh, that's exactly.
I was stealing from Kendrick there with that, but I think. I think they'll be okay. I think they'll ultimately be okay at some point, but you got to get Cesar Ruiz back on the field.
First of all, was the question, will they return to form this week?
Against Atlanta, yeah.
Probably no way.
No, okay,
no
okay.
Way.
Yeah,
no matter what form is, they won't return to form. This is how can you like grab a knife and a flashlight and fight your way out of out of this room and just make it back and back to the house and address your wounds.
They sell both those items at Rouse's.
It's a really good point. Yeah. You know what? I swear, this is going off topic real quick. I was at Rouse's today, shopping today.
Okay.
On my own, different Rouse's.
I come to this one. Yeah, I'm here all the time.
They've got like 6 items that I have to go to Rouse's for. Like, there's some places like, hey, I got to go to this store and get my stuff. Yeah. There's like 6 items. My coffee, I have to go to Rouse's. Like, when I'm running low on coffee, I got to find the nearest Rouse's, go for Rouse's coffee. Another one is these Parmesan things that cut up. And anyway, I was here at Rouse's. It's a destination for me.
You make your own peanut butter here.
Oh.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. I never did buy a knife and a flashlight at the same time at a Rouse's.
I might have.
But anyway. But look, you are right that the Saints gave that game away. The Saints completely gave that game away, but they also got outplayed. It was Sirianni who tried to blow that game with awful decisions. But the defensive coach, Vic Fangio won that game because he just destroyed the hottest offense in the league. Jalen Carter won that game because he just destroyed the hottest offense in the league. And there is some leftover residue of not only, okay, Clint Kubiak can't just draw up 45 points a game. We didn't think he could. But he was so human in that game. Seeing another coach have a knockout punch for him and him not being able to get back up in that game and have the response was a little like, oh, shoot, he's only human. So I will be very fascinated to see, all right, now you've been exposed by something. Another team's going to try to do that to you too. You're going to have to show you have an answer for that. And now you have to show you can do it without any offensive linemen, so you're probably not going to be able to establish a run game. And Derek Carr's not going to have time to throw. The odds are very, very stacked against him. I, too, have so much faith in this coaching staff that I think they are going to come up with something. But it was a shocking back to reality that they don't just automatically have answers for everything.
I will say I think I misanalyzed that game a little bit, and I didn't become aware of it until after the fact. They shut him down, and I'm sitting at home thinking, like, how the hell did they do this? And I started doing research, and you start looking at it, and Fangio just he owns these offenses. And I think I mentioned on the stream the other day, I came across this panel that Shanahan and LaFleur and McVay all did, and obviously they all come from the same coaching tree and everything. And they were asked who's the hardest guy to go against. Every single one of them, Vic Fangio. I think Vic just has a way of. I think he's gotten inside of the scheme. I think he's kind of the Shanahan Kubiak scheme killer a little bit, and he gives everybody issues with it. And those are all really good coaches. And you go and you start looking at it, and it's like, damn, he really played them well over and over again. And that was something I just was completely unaware. I didn't know his history of it until after the fact. His plan was incredible. DA mentioned it today though too. I think having Jalen Carter going against those guys in the middle, and then just the sheer utter domination of it. Look, and a lot of it was against Cesar Ruiz, so it isn't even just straight up an Erik McCoy thing here. But I think him kind of sniping out the middle, and then you got everybody else kind of plugging the gaps. And for people that don't know, the 6-1 thing that they do, it's basically a 4-3. The 4-3 defense, you have the 4 defensive linemen, you have the 3 linebackers, and typically you got you're the 4 defensive linemen, and then the 3 linebackers behind them. Sometimes people will creep one of them up to the edge. What they do is they put 6 guys on the line. So you got the 4 defensive linemen, you got the 2 linebackers flanking them, 1 linebacker in the middle, and then with the outside zone, the idea is you're just kind of blocking to a spot, and you're trying to get cutback lanes for your running back. So you're working towards the sideline. Well, they got all these guys up there, so they clog every single gap. So now Alvin's looking for places to cut. There's nowhere to cut, so you're just kind of pushing them to the sideline. That allows the defensive backs then to flow down the field, and you're kind of working them into a confined area. So, yeah, he might gain 4, but he's only getting 4. There's no opportunity to he got 4, and then he cut, and now he broke a tackle, and he got 18, which we've seen so many times. It's just we're gonna snuff this out, and okay, we'll give you what you got, but you aren't getting anything more. And a lot of times, it even works for negative plays when you got Jalen Carter just busting through the line, doing things. So I think Vic just kind of does that better than anyone in the league. I know there's a lot of talk about the heavy personnel this week and everything, whatever. I think they still would have got him on it. There were a lot of 5-2 plays, they lined up, 2 guys back, 5. They just did a really good job of defending the run, and I think Vic just kind of knows how to do it.
Yeah, to your point, when Dennis Allen was asked, I think on Monday, our other team's going to copy this, his very first answer was, not every team has those defensive tackles playing at the level those guys played at.
We talked the last couple of weeks about how the national media had been downplaying the Saints, and now they're high on the Saints. This week they had them at 10, and they had the Falcons at 20. Might change after this weekend. We'll have to see. Next segment is presented by Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union. What will Cam Jordan's role be going forward? DA, he talked Monday, and he said how you probably will see more of Carl Granderson and Chase Young. Cam Jordan only played 20 snaps Sunday against the Eagles. What do you see his role being for the rest of the season?
That's it. I mean, this is no surprise to me at all. I mean, we talked about it all through the offseason. This is just where he kind of exists in his career. He's an older player. Yeah. He still wants to play the game. He's not quite what he used to be, and I think all those things are okay. I think it's okay for Cam Jordan to be a very good. I don't want to use the term, but a rotational player. I think it's okay for him to be a very good role player. I think it's okay for him to be a locker room leader while he's only playing 15 snaps a game. I think having him around is better than not having him around. You're kind of on the hook cap-wise for a lot of money anyhow, so you might as well get the value out of it. I think there's a lot of value in having Cam Jordan on your team, in your locker room. Just unfortunately, he's not the player he once was, and there's 2 guys that are just better pass rushers right now. That's where they're at in their careers. So I think you're okay with it. And, yeah, I mean, I think this is his role. I think 20 snaps is a lot. I wouldn't be surprised to see that number lower in other weeks. I just don't – it's hard to talk about because you don't want to be disrespectful or anything, and it comes across that way. But I think he's just somebody that's an Iron Man who loves the game, who's playing longer than most people would. And I think he's just playing for love of the game. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that as long as he can still contribute in some form or fashion. And I think he can.
I can also guarantee you there will be games that Carl Granderson or Chase Young miss this season. He'll need to play a bigger role in those games. And in this particular game, they
Would
didn't.
it be him or would they go to Peyton Turner?
Yeah, no, it's possible. But, I mean, just in any time.
Yeah.
He might be more needed than he is when they have all hands on deck because they also had Peyton Turner playing in this game and Isaiah Foskey, for that matter, not much. But also, I think there will be some more games where we see Cam playing defensive tackle a little more. This past game, did he play no snaps inside? Is that right? Or very few, I think?
It was limited.
Yeah, because
it's been limited, too.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's just different game plans might have different rules for him. But, yeah, exactly. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot like this.
I think,
is his role.
Yeah, look, on that interior role, too, I think there's just
Yeah.
I think there's just guys that are doing it a little bit better. I think there are. So, yeah, there's moments where you probably want him in there, but I'm not taking Brian Brzee off the field. I don't think I'm taking Nathan Shepard off the field either. It just kind of is where he is. And like I said, I think it's okay. I think it's okay. There's going to be a game because Cam does it every year, and it'll probably be in the second half of the season where he gets 4 sacks in one game. And that's just kind of going to be what it is. But I think this is just kind of where it's been trending. And for the most part, though, I feel like he's aged pretty gracefully into the end of his career.
You're 14.
Yeah. So, it hasn't been. It's kind of happened though. And if you kind of look back, you see it. And I did a story a few weeks ago, kind of showing his get off time over the years. You kind of see that number creeping up a little bit since 18. It's just kind of been going this direction for a little bit. And thankfully they had a plan for it. They got Chase Young in here, who, by the way, I think needs to contribute a little bit more. Actual tangible number production.
Right.
He's around the quarterback, but you kind of want to see him finish a few of those. But yeah, I think they're set up for him to kind of do what he does. And like I said, there's a lot of money on the books for him. If you're going to be spending that money and you're counting it against your cap, you might as well have a player that can be a locker room pillar too.
There you go. I think that's the happy medium right there. I think that's the happy medium.
It's what the situation is. You can't really change it.
Reality. Yeah. Now it's time for the Martin Wine and Spirits question of the day. Martin's is home to a wide selection of hand-picked barrel select bourbon, whiskeys, and more. Martin's so much more than just wine. Today's question comes from Thomas Epstein. Any hope for Olave's targets to increase? Seem low versus stacked boxes.
I think his target share is fine. I mean, if anything, it's when are they going to start to throwing to someone else who isn't Chris Olave or Rashid Shaheed? But I mean, as we've said a bunch of times, they completed 11 passes 2 weeks ago, 14 passes last week. There's going to be games where Derek Carr has to throw 35, 40 times, and then Chris Olave. But I think his percentage of targets he's getting in the offense is fine. I'm not concerned about that.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about that. I don't think they're throwing the ball a ton either.
Right.
There's going to be a game where they throw it 40 times and
Yeah.
they'll probably get 8 targets and 7 catches in that game or whatever it is, and he'll go off that way. I just don't think they've been in that style of game yet. They've kind of been leading or played close a lot of times, so they haven't really had to abandon the run at any point. When they do, I think that number goes up. I'm okay with kind of how they're using him right now. I think he's still going to end the season with his 1,000+ yards. I just don't think it's a high volume passing offense. And when they're at their best, you don't want it to be. That means you're relying more on the quarterback. And the more you can lean on this running game and whatever offensive line, if it's worth leaning on, that's better. So we'll see. That might change though. These injuries might change things.
I retweeted. You can go find it on my Twitter. This analyst. His Twitter handle is Throw the Damn Ball. I wasn't familiar with his work, but he did a plot point, one of those graphics. On the bottom, it's PFF's raw separation grade.
Yeah.
So the further you are to the right, my right, means you're getting the most separation in the league. And then his other one, his vertical, is catch point and yards after catch grade. And so there's this big blob in the middle, and then top right, way away from everyone else, is Chris Olave. So he is doing everything right. He's getting separation. He's making easy catches. He's making tough catches. It's just a low-volume passing offense.
The graph is basically the visual representation of that Secretariat race. He's just so far away from the pack. There's one horse a little bit behind him, and then the rest of the field. And who's the guy that? And
Nico Collins is
and he's
one
a good
lap behind.
He's a good distance away.
Mike Evans is hinting over in that range.
But I mean, he just pulled off on everybody on that. I think he's playing well. I really do. I think he's embraced his role too, which is important.
Yep. That'll do it for this episode of NewOrleans.Football. We appreciate y'all for coming in and watching us today. For those who aren't subscribed, make sure that you subscribe, NewOrleans.Football/subscribe. Come check out Rouse's Market, man. I went to school at Nichols, and they have a whole Nichols-themed Rouse's out there. Hot food was always great. They have the same food, and it's consistent across the board. Catch you next time.